I am Rocky Grandstrand, and this is my deliverable number 2 presentation. So, culture codes are interpretations of what we see that each person learns from birth. They can be imposed from a culture and social perspective and a specific geographical country perspective, a regional, a location, family. These are important because when you learn something from birth, that's typically you grow up and instill that in your own children and future generations, etc. A lot of people are taught that law enforcement are here to help, are good people. Everyone's got a bad seed like every profession, but for the most part are taught that law enforcement are good. Sometimes you're taught from the beginning that they're not. They're bad people. They're out to get you. And so that would be an example of a culture code. So this first slide here, I have examples of an urban billboard photos that would be used. I guess this would be a little non-traditional. I chose to search for Chicago because I'm originally from Illinois, and Chicago's just got so many issues. And like I said, these are kind of non-traditional because usually you don't, you see on the news all the negativity about violence and crimes in Chicago, shutting down roads in against law enforcement. So I think people, when they see law enforcement in places such as Chicago, their memories and their experiences aren't as good as smaller, maybe suburban areas. So this is why I chose these two photos from, one is a crime scene, one is, it looks kind of like a riot. People have their phones out because people are quick to record the police before helping stop whatever's happening. Slide 2 here. I chose these. Naperville is a suburb of Chicago, and it's smaller, so I believe memories and experiences and expectation of law enforcement are much different than urban areas such as Chicago. Smaller areas, you're going to know these people by first and last names, you're going to know their family, those kind of things, so it's a more positive experience. Smaller areas have like Night to Unite events in their town where you come and meet all the different first responders in town, and these two pictures kind of look like that's something they were at. So they're able to do fun things with police officers, giving them that positive experience from a young age. So they can see from a young age that law enforcement is are positive people and are trying to help. So I think the emotional engagement with this billboard, I think this would honestly probably upset a lot of people if the Chicago Police Department used this as a billboard. But I also think if they understand this is what this is what law enforcement deal with all day, every day in places like Chicago, maybe it'll speak to somebody out there and to help bring that crime down. That's kind of the main point that I chose these, was that this is what they see and deal with every day. Maybe if they see this publicly advertised on a billboard, that would help understand something has to change. I think this the emotional engagement this would be very positive, because it's showing kids how great the police are with the kids and how engaged they are with their communities and their neighborhoods and keeping those people safe. Robin Landa said, from the theory of semiotics, the study of signs and symbols, there is a classification for signs, icons, index, symbols, and super symbols. So I think all 4 of these photos have a little bit of each of those. They all have a visual mark, part of a language that denotes another thing, icons, symbols. So I believe it kind of hits all of those. Analogical codes are mental comparisons. So when you see yellow, you might think of a lemon or maybe a banana. So when you see these 2 photos, you're going to have a positive memory with the law enforcement. When you see these photos, you're going to have a negative memory with law enforcement, in hopes, maybe a little reverse psychology, that, something has to change so we can be positive. Displaced codes transfer meaning from one set of signs to another. And condensed codes are signs that combine to form a new sign. They mix together many different types of colors, graphics, and imagery with the culture the message is intended for. The condensed code has relevant meaning. So I feel like this, isn't typically something somebody would choose, but I think it would kind of fall under a condensed code. It's combining a message would need to go with it, stating the crime and the violence is enough in Chicago. This is what we see every day. And when they mix together, they would have a relevant meaning.